Hello and welcome to Britta's Always Crafting. This is my first video on this channel and this is going to be a floss tube about cross stitching, a video about cross stitching where I show you my current projects that I'm working on and share a little bit about myself and maybe a book I'm reading or something like that towards the end. Today I'll be doing a WIP parade. I really love watching floss tubes when I'm winding down at the end of the day. I have kind of a stressful job, so I enjoy having that like friend to stitch with. So I thought that both for my own record keeping and like maybe somebody else would want to watch me talking about my projects, I don't know. I have several stitching friends in real life, but they all live in different states. I love to get together with them and stitch, but I don't get to see them very often. Here's a way for me to share this with you. A little bit about me. So my name's Britta. Pronouns are she and her. I live in St. Paul, Minnesota with my husband, my dog, and my cat. My dog's name is Waffle and my cat's name is Leia. They do not get along, much to our chagrin. I am a graphic designer, and so I do that work by day. And then at night, I have free reign to do my crafty activities. I also have enjoyed gardening this year and doing projects at my house, spending time with friends, running lately. I ran my first 5K last year, and so I'm trying to keep up with that, and that's been really fun. And yeah, I have been also knitting for a very long time. So I've been knitting since I was 10 years old, so about 25 years. And that is usually my primary hobby, but it has not been for the past 3 or 4 years. So we'll see if it comes back. It probably will. And I have been doing a little bit of knitting, so I can share that in the future episodes. But I wanted to show you all my cross-stitch projects that I have and that I'm working on, and a few that I've finished. And yeah, share a little bit about them. Please drop a comment below sharing what you're working on while you're watching this. I'm so excited to hear what people are working on, or if you have one of the same WIPs that I do. Yeah, I'm just excited, and thank you already so much for watching, and like, yeah, leave a comment, whatever. So I'm going to be sharing my projects by least amount of progress to most amount of progress based on percentage. I will start with my biggest WIP first. So my first project I have is Mary Morgan's by Fox and Rabbit. I'll put a picture of what it's going to look like here. And this is by far my biggest project. I have the full fabric for the sampler. This is what I have so far. It's these flowers in the middle. And you can see there that I've really just started in on the most chunky part of the design. This is also one of the things I'm most excited about. And I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be doing the whole thing. I really want to do the alphabet, the almost like circusy alphabet. And I really do like the border, but I might kind of split the alphabet and do the A row here and then the Z row here and cut out a few of the other motifs that don't speak to me as like vibrantly. The colors on this are absolutely amazing. This is on 20 count vintage country Mocha, Aida. And you'll see throughout this that 20 count is pretty much my bread and butter now, but I do have some older WIPs that are on different counts, and I'm open to using different counts too. So here's a look at it again. I'm super happy with how this is coming out. I am at 15.64% on this so far, which all things considered is actually pretty good. I also wanted to share the bag that I'm storing this in. So you can see I have my Nurge hoop that I'm working with this on. The back is made, the back and this swatches panel are made from Tim Holtz fabric, and the inside is just some, you know, prints that I had. I like to have a clear front on all of my bags because I have very little object permanence, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. Very neurodivergent over here. So yeah, that's the bag for this project. Next we have Ribbon Candy by Carolyn Manning. I'll put a picture here. This is one I haven't been working on as much, but I wanted to share my progress so far. So I'm about almost a third of the way done on this. And I'm still trying to get it up to date with when I started using Markup RX. So right now my Markup RX says that I have 1% done, which is not true. This one is kind of on ice right now. This is on 22 count Hardanger, which is, it's essentially like Aida, and I hand dyed this myself. I just ran out of steam on it. It's one of those WIPs that kind of got a bad taste in my mouth because I used to work on this when I had this like 3-month stint where I could not sleep for the life of me. I could not fall asleep. And so I worked on this when I had all my insomnia, and it was really helpful then because it's nice and soothing to work on. But now it kind of has these bad memories associated with it. So I might finish this a different way, maybe just, you know, cut out this panel and make a bookmark out of it. I don't know, but that's my like most unsure WIP. This is the bag that I'm keeping it in. It is kind of, it's ribbon candy, so it's supposed to be kind of like Christmas, but it has this really bright poppy look to it. And so I'm keeping it in a Christmas bag with cats. Big fan of cats over here. These are some like naughty cats, and then here are more naughty cats on the back. I love this bag, and I kind of wish it was with a project that actually had like something that was like Christmas, but like a picture, not just, you know. Next up, we have Ragnarok by Long Dog Samplers. I am making this for my husband. Here we go. And here's how I have it so far. He really loves Norse mythology, and I really wanted to stitch a long dog, so this is how this happened. But as you can see, I'm all the way across the top at this point, and I've made it down to the center mark down here, right where this is about center right there. So I'm at 40.55% on this, and pretty much every time I take it out, I complete a page. So this is 4 pages across, 4 pages down. It's a really big project, but working in only one color makes it super easy to just go on, especially if I'm on a weekend day or I'm not feeling super well. The only thing with this kind of stitching though is I can't do it when I'm with other people. If I make a mistake, ripping it out is so difficult because I often am kind of like all over the place trying to make the right stitch path so that I don't have to worry about jumping too far in threads. So I've learned to not do this one in public. And this is Rustico Aida, 20 count. And for this, I chose my own color. Oh, I should have mentioned the DMC colors that I used in my first 2 projects are what's called for. This one I am using 937, I believe. I'll put it on the screen. But it's this beautiful teal, and I thought it would go really well with our decor, and it will be very big when it's finished, but I love it. This is the bag that I'm using to hold this project. I have a needle minder in here that's from Keepsakes in Ohio, which is right by where I go when I visit my friends, and we get to all see each other once a year or twice a year. And then it is Star Wars fabric because this project's for my husband, so. Next up, we have 100 Colors, 100 Circles by The Steady Thread. This is a black work design. It's really one of my favorite things to work on, especially if I've had a really long day. Here's where I am so far. So I have 60 of these circles done, and there are 100. So I'm 60% of the way done. I've really enjoyed working on each of the different patterns on this, making my brain think in a little bit of a different way. And I'm getting into my favorite colors now with being into the purples, and now they're gonna be in the nice cool colors. I can't wait. It's gonna be so much fun. My goal, I started this on January 1st of this year in hopes of doing 2 per week to kind of be like, oh, this circle right here was when blah, blah, blah happened. But I am trying not to remember significant events from this year because it has not been a great year so far, at least from my perspective. I live in the United States, so I don't do with that what you will. This is the called for DMC. Like I said, I'm about 60% done. It's just really fun because I can knock out one of these in like 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on how complicated it is. So I love that. And here's the bag I'm keeping it in. One of my favorite bags that has this beautiful like vegetable market print on it. On the inside it has more like olive oil and can of tomatoes, but it's still from the same designer. This is a Dear Stella line, and I get a lot of my fabric from SR Harris in Brooklyn Park. It's this huge warehouse where basically overstock fabric goes, and they have cotton and then everything else you could possibly think of. So you can get a yard of really nice licensed fabric or really nice, you know, Dear Stella or etc. different lines that usually cost like $14 or $15 a yard for about $7 a yard. It's really fun being able to go there. And if you are ever in the Twin Cities, I highly recommend that you go, but plan to take a nap afterwards because it is very overwhelming. I'm also stitching this one on a Q-snap. I have found that when I'm stitching on something where the Q-snap is going to go over it or the hoop's going to go over it, I prefer to have the Q-snap because then I can use little pieces of felt to kind of pad where it's going over my stitches. I like using the nerd hoop because it's less bulky, easier to hold in hand, but at the same time, it does leave some indents, and I'm always cautious about how that affect the fabric. Another reason why I use Q-snaps on this specifically is I found that whenever I'm doing backstitch or straight stitch, I'm finding that I like my tension to be very tight. And so I can really only get that with the Q-snap. It's not really possible with a nerd hoop to have it super tight more than for like 1 or 2 stitches. Oh, and by the way, this is on Atomic Ranch Haze 18 count Aida. So it's a very light gray with a little bit of modeling, which is, you know, the model is stitched on white. So I wanted something that would be neutral, but still has a little bit of that handmade touch. Next up, we have When It Rains by Emma Congdon or Stitchrovia. This was in a book that came out that I was able to check out from my library digitally. So if you have a library account, make sure to check out Libby, the Libby app, and see if you can get some of these patterns through your library. Okay, so here's what mine looks like so far. I am at 72.26%. I'm using all the called for DMC. This is my first time using the sparkle linen, or the sparkle Aida. So this is 20 count sparkle Aida. And it is like rather stiff and not as fun to touch, but it goes so well with what this is supposed to say, you know, look for the light. I started this on November 7th, 2024. I had planned to start this after the election just in case I wanted to celebrate or in case I needed some consolation. And so this has been a beacon of light for me going through some of my anxieties and doubts about, you know, what's going on right now. Yeah, I really love this. I still have some backstitch to do down here, but mostly the most recent time I worked on this, I got all of these letters done. These letters themselves are about 20 to 25% of the pattern, and they nearly killed me. So this is on ice for at least a month before I touch it again. And my project bag for this one is this really cute plants and planters and scissors, and the inside is this leafy pattern. I'm using a nerd hoop for this because it all fits in the same nerd hoop, but I might be switching to a Q-snap when I get to the backstitching. For my next piece, that's actually pretty far along, I have Stitch for Pride 2025 by Dees 20 Stitches. Pattern isn't currently available, but Dee usually makes them available a couple times a year if you missed a previous year's pattern or missed a previous sign up. And each month there's a new release. There's 12 sections in total, and there's learning and that goes with the colors chosen, and you get learnings every month on each trans person featured and get to learn a little bit more trans history, which is, I believe, very important right now. So this is where I'm at. I have everything through September. The new piece will be coming out tomorrow on October 1st. So I'm very excited to start filling in this middle area here. I am using the Mislaid Pages resistance fabric that was called for in this project, as well as the called for threads. These were limited edition, and it's just been really fun to take part in this, especially with the colors being connected to the person themselves. Truly amazing, and it's been really fun to stitch these images of resistance. So very looking forward to seeing the last 3 pieces of the year and finishing this one up. Jump scare. This is the bag that I'm stitching this in. It has a nice yellow X pattern on the inside, and I use this beautiful citrus floral. I believe this is a Rifle Paper Company print. But yeah, using this nice and happy. My next piece is one that I've been working on as of yesterday, which is exciting. It's the Quaker-Style Halloween Sampler by Faithwurks Designs. This was in the Just CrossStitch 2024 issue, I believe. I'll correct myself if that's not right. But here's how far I've gotten. I am 60.72% done, and it's coming along really well. I spent last night putting in 3 threads of white to kind of help get me to where these other black pieces are done, and then I'd like to finish with the white at the end. This is on a 20 count Aida that I hand dyed with RIT-dye. And yeah, I really love how it turned out. I had a vision. This felt like the called for. So I'm really excited about that. It's also in my smalls project bag. So right now I've been working on a lot of Halloween stuff. I just love it. I felt the vibes starting in like the end of August, so I went with it. And so the back here is this beautiful cat fabric, and then the inside is this beautiful, almost like Japanese style dot pattern, which I really love. I have a couple other projects and like random flosses in for things that I'd like to start after I finish this project in here as well. My next piece and my last WIP that I'll show you before I show a few things that I've finished recently is the Extraordinary Birds SAL from Lola CrossStitch. I did the Deadly Aquarium last year and gave it to my sister-in-law, and this year I'm doing this one for myself. Very exciting. Here's where I'm at. So I only have a few clues left, and they'll go up here and then over here on the side. I think I'm 3 clues behind. The final clue was released at like the middle of August, so I kind of worked to catch up to what I thought would be one more like push on it. So I only have 3 or 4 exhibits left. Getting through some of this stuff right here took me out. So it needed a little rest, and I think it'll pick it back up in October. I took the month of September off. This is on 20 count, RIT-dyed by me with some taupe and aquamarine. What I was going for was for the Be Stitch Me called for fabric on this, and I think it accomplished it pretty well. They're not my favorite colors together, but I think it looks really good with the pattern, so I'm happy with it. I started this on April 14th, 2025, and I am at 82.2% done, and I have been doing the back stitch as I go, so. And I know everyone, I've seen so many floss tubes of people working on this. And some people actually have it finished, which is great. Good for them. The bag that it's in is another one of my handmade bags, some flowers and embroidery scissors and string on the back, and then some more Dear Stella fabric that has this beautiful floral print with butterflies on it on the inside, and I just felt like it kind of went with the whole aviary concept. Those are all my WIPs. I have some smalls that I'd like to share with you that I've recently finished, just to kind of show you where the spooky mood has been. Not all of these are in 20 count Aida, so that's very exciting. First, we have Purr-fect Pirate by Counting Puddles. I believe this is from the Just CrossStitch October issue from 2024 as well. 30 count Weeks Dyeworks Morris Blue and DMC in the called for, except I subbed out gray 452 for 318. I started this on June 28th and finished on July 12th. And I just we've been watching One Piece, which is a pirate anime, in preparation for our trip to Japan coming up. And so this just really felt like it's cats, it's spooky, it's pirates, like what can't I love about that? It's just awesome. And I love it. And again, I accessed this using my library card, so through Libby. Highly recommend checking it out. Speaking of One Piece anime, I do plan to do some more fandom stitches. I have done some pretty wild things, but this one I actually made to now decorate our mantle because we're doing a whole like anime Japan theme to get us excited about our trip. This is One Piece Luffy. I got this from CrossStitch Journal on Etsy, and it's this pose that the main character Luffy is making to kind of show solidarity with his friends. It's a really touching moment in the 2nd or 3rd season. We're on the 4th season now, and we are almost done with the 4th season, so we have about 700 more episodes to go before we're caught up. But it's been really fun, and we just have a good time joking about it and singing the theme songs and stuff like that. So this is going to go up on the mantle for now, and then I think I want to make it into a patch that I can put on a backpack while we're traveling. And this is 18 count Aida that is RIT and T-dyed and the called for DMC. Then the last piece I wanted to share with you from my recent spooky escapades is Halloween Time by the Witchy Stitcher. Look at that. That's so cool. I love it. So this design was featured in a CrossStitch magazine. I think it was just CrossStitch. I'll put it on the screen which one it was because it's from several years ago, but I believe it's the Halloween edition. This is on a self-dyed 20 count Aida, used tan and gray to make this kind of pattern. I dyed it twice, once with the tan and then once with the gray. I'm using all the called for DMC, and the vintage look okay, here's the thing, is that I don't know if this is a Mandela effect or something, but I don't remember this ever being a type of design that was around in the 90s when it was my childhood. Now that there's been, you know, there's been recent interest in like reviving the vintage Halloween, I absolutely love it, and I think it's so creepy, and it's great. So that little guy, and of course, like, as you know, I have a cat, Leia, and she's dark gray. So I kind of like to just put her in all these situations, even if this is a black cat, you know, it feels like stitching my cat. So I really love that. This is really a joy to work on, and I would love to do more witchy stitcher pieces like this. I think this is the 3rd pattern I've stitched from the witchy stitcher, and I've really loved every single one. And if you're wondering why I have fabric on the top and bottom, I wanted to make sure I could use this piece of Aida for this design, even though it gets kind of close on the top and bottom. There's only about 1.5 inches. So in order to just fit it in my Q-snap or my frame, I added some scrap fabric on the top and bottom so that you have more room to adjust, more wiggle room, and then you'll be able to take off this fabric at the end and just finish it like normal, because you don't actually need 3 inches in order to finish. That's just the recommended, so that you have enough room to actually stitch it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like I said, I'm mostly doing this for me, and I know that, and I was also nervous about it, so that to me indicates like, ooh, maybe you should push yourself outside of that boundary. So I wanted to do that. And yeah, leave a comment below of what you're working on, or if one of these WIPs really spoke to you, which one you would start working on, or which one you are currently working on. I would love to show you more in the future of like the board games behind me, or the books, things I've read lately. I wanted to mention a few Flosstubers that I genuinely like, because then maybe you'll get a sense of kind of like where my crafting usually falls, even if the WIP parade didn't like fully do it for you. I love watching the Thread Gremlins, obviously, the Hathaway Stitchers. I feel like a soul spiritual connection to Stitching Down the Rabbit Hole and A Stitch in the Matrix. They both are amazing. I've also been watching the Runner Stitcher and following along on his marathon training. And he was actually, weirdly enough, when I was watching Flosstube and I was thinking about doing the 5K, he was one of the people that inspired me to actually do it. It was just like, it felt kismet, which was really cool. Yeah, so those are some of my recommends. And I also, oh, I can't forget to mention Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World. She has the best book recommendations, especially if you like romance, which I love romance. And so if she's shared it on her Flosstube, there's a good chance that I've added it to my to be read list. I also want to address something that some of you might be aware of, but some of you might not. I have another YouTube channel that I last posted on maybe 8 years ago, maybe 10. You can find it by searching my name if you want to. The reason why I started an entirely new channel is because that was based on card making, and also just not who I am anymore. Like, I'm a kind of different person now. It's been 10 years. So if you're from that era of my life, I know a lot of my Instagram followers are. Welcome back. Yeah, it's nice to see you again. I wanted to share that so there's no like elephant in the room. I'm not embarrassed of it or anything. It's really cool to have a YouTube channel and be able to go back and be like, wow, I taught people how to make these cards, and I even have some vlogs too. But it's also a different me. I'm married now. I have been married for like 8 years. I have a dog, you know, like I own a house. It's all a different me. If you have any not creepy questions that you'd like me to answer, I can do so in the comments, or maybe even a future video. I don't know. But yeah, welcome back. I'm still crafting. I'm doing all the crafty things. I do occasionally still make cards and stamp, but right now my heart is in cross-stitch and mostly fiber arts, and then trying to keep my artistic juices flowing while still working a corporate job. I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but cross-stitch helps me do that, and I love that. For those of you who made it this far, I want to throw in an extra little like visual treat. I'm sure the books behind me are cool, but visual treat. One thing that I'm planning on starting this week is this pattern, and it's 2 cats that are ghost costumes. It's from the most recent Just Cross Stitch October issue, so 2025. I have this really beautiful purple fabric that I got from Black Cat Stitchery in Illinois when I went to visit family in Milwaukee. They're not there any longer, but they sold their merchandise to somewhere closer to me, which is very exciting. But I can't wait to do the little kitties right here. And I think what I'm going to do is, for the larger kitty, I think I'm gonna make its ears look more straight at the top, so then it looks like my dog and my cat are sitting together, because we know that's not happening in real life. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for helping build this community. It is fantastic and it's such a warm place on the internet. And I will see you soon. Bye.